Could you repeat that? But we could hear you this time.
Your mic was working when we did our test talking, so I'm not sure what's going on now.
Oh? You just deafened yourself.
Okay, am I echoing? Can you guys hear me okay? Am I echoing?
You are
Don't
not
hear any
echoing.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, you know what? When I unhooked my devices a moment ago, it...
And now we can't hear you again. Are you remembering push to talk? Okay. Check Discord settings. Wait, you just
That's where I am right now.
I can hear
me
you.
now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I don't know why this is going. I don't normally use push to talk, and it said I had to in this channel, and I don't know if that is. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like all of my settings were correct there. Anyways.
Okay, we got you now.
Hope it sticks this time.
That's definitely one thing I've noticed with Discord is that it has a tendency to just change your settings on you randomly. So, you know.
That wasn't even, like, none of my settings were wrong. It randomly stopped, and while I was looking at settings trying to figure out what was wrong with it, it started working again, but I didn't actually change anything.
This is good. We are about 50 seconds to actually starting our panel.
Perfect timing.
When you threaten Discord by changing your settings back to going normal, and they're just like, nope.
Yep. So if anybody is viewing now, hi. The camera's not on yet, so I don't know why I'm waving. But NaNoWriMo panel starting soon. Enjoy our babbling about tech issues.
I'm not having a crisis, I swear.
Also stick around because you will get to see at least one pet in the cameras. All right, that was time. So, hello out there. Now cameras are on, so hi. We are here to discuss NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. I'm your host, Stephanie Gildart. I usually like panelists to introduce themselves, but we haven't practiced this yet, so go for it.
I am ChloeAliceBalkan. I am a writer of romance, and I have been doing NaNoWriMo since 2003. I've been a NaNoWriMo ML, Municipal Liaison, fancy way of saying regional director, for, I believe, 7 years, I figured out the other day. That's me.
I am Lord Galacron. I am a young writer of horror and etc. I haven't figured out yet. Yeah, it's a pretty cool deal.
Yep, and I am Stephanie Gildart, StephWeavesTales. I've been doing NaNoWriMo since 2004. Even while I was going through college. And I mean, for grad school, I was studying writing, so it kind of made sense to do NaNoWriMo for that. So pretty much nonstop NaNoWriMo for me. I'm not sure if we're expecting a raid. Do you guys know?
I do not.
No, I don't either. I'm sorry. What time is it? It is 12:01. One past the hour, 16:01. So I guess we can give this another 30 seconds and see if we get a raid, and if not, we keep going.
Yeah, definitely. So while we're waiting for those people to write in, if you're here, you probably already know what NaNoWriMo is, but in case you don't, NaNoWriMo National Novel Writing Month is a challenge to write a novel in a month. The idea is you don't have to worry about the quality of the novel. It doesn't have to be good. It's just write 50,000 words. Whatever you write counts. Go for it.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting thing, being new to it, since last year I actually did it. So, and I accomplished it. It was pretty cool, and I got pens for it.
There's also not starting, but we're having another one next month in July. There's also Camp NaNoWriMo where you set your own goals, and the camps happen in April and July. With the new website, it's a little more complicated than it used to be, but it doesn't even have to be writing goals. I believe because of the new website right now you have to set a word count goal, but you can like do whatever you want. So if you want to use it for editing or for writing haikus or for like getting art done, like whatever you want, that's what camp is for. So it's kind of nice if you haven't done NaNoWriMo before, to jump in on a camp. Melanie just said they're doing a 30K this July. And yeah, it's perfect for that, to get that warm up, to get, if you don't think you can do 50K, it's a nice way to get things started and see what you can actually reasonably do.
Hmm. And yeah, as Alevandra just pointed out in chat, they also do have like a conversion chart for like if you're editing, this many hours should count for about this many words. What I usually do is I try and see like, okay, how many pages of edit read through do I do? How many words do I write in that time? And that's my personal conversion chart because everybody writes at a little bit of a different pace.
I do a much crazier thing because usually I have a bunch of things that I need to get done in July and April. So I will assign a word count value to each task. And, I'll have, say, 10 tasks that are worth, 1 to 10K. And I'll say I need to get 25K, however it works out. And that way, if I don't get everything done, I can still get a win as long as I do hit that count. So yeah, whatever you want to do for camp, go for it.
Mhm. Yeah, Islanders Caper just said, I did a poem a day challenge in April, and I'm going to use July Camp to hopefully finish a draft of the tabletop RPG play set I'm working on. So, like, you can see already in chat, we've got people who we use this. Like, the original intent was write a really rough, terrible draft of a novel because you've always wanted to write a book. And as people have, like, dug in over the years, um, really that's exactly what's happened is people have gone, well, I've always wanted to do this thing, I've always wanted to write a bunch of poetry, I've always wanted to write a script, I've always wanted to create a graphic novel, all these different things, and they've been like, well, this is my chance to do it. And that's something that I really love about the spirit of the month is like, just sit down and do it. It doesn't matter if it's good, it doesn't matter if it's bad.
Yeah, that's quite the thing that I have wanted to be since I was like 13, and I actually started meeting other writers. And when the Closet Forge, my dad came into the picture, he it was a pretty cool thing. And so I was like, I want book, I want write book, let me get write book.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. So we're about 6 minutes after. If we're going to get rated, well, they better do it sometime. If we're not, we might as well go ahead and get started. And actually, Lord Galacron, that was like the perfect transition into the first kind of questions we were going to go through with our discussion panel. And that is, when did you hear about NaNoWriMo and why did you get involved initially?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, transitioned correctly. um yeah, just to answer that, I heard about NaNoWriMo when I was 13. It was when, during that time frame, it was just a bunch of not good events happening. And so that was kind of the one thing that sparked out there. It was amazing and beautimous. Um, and I wanted to do it before that, but then I saw the actual word count for it, and I was like, no, that's too much. No, I can't do that. And so then actually doing a nano and being involved in it, um, when I was 16, that that really did help me. It was a pretty cool thing. And Chloe's camera is haunted again.
Yep, the camera haunting continues. So hopefully, Chloe, if you can hear us, your camera's haunted again. Maybe check your tech. Um, disconnect, reconnect. We'll see what happens. So for me, I first heard about NaNoWriMo in 2004. It was about November 3rd, and I had a friend in choir who was sitting waiting for the choir rehearsal to start at my community college where I was going. It was my first year at community college. I had just graduated high school. I was 18 and, all that. Um, now you can do math and figure out how old I am. um, but she had her laptop out and was just like typing on it like crazy. And I was like, "Oh, you like to write? I like to write too." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this thing called NaNoWriMo. Have you heard of it?" And I was like, "No." And so then all of a sudden on November 3rd, I decide, okay, yeah, let's do a 50,000 word novel in a month. And of course, it was my first year doing it. And I was determined to make the word count. My computer caught a virus and died halfway through the month. I managed to revive my computer and I lost a few thousand words, but I managed to keep going. And I didn't. Another thing I did was I didn't realize that all words count. I thought that your final draft had to be 50,000 words. Um, so, like, I cut out about 10,000 words because I was like, no, this story's on the wrong track. I need to backtrack to this point where the characters made a decision and fix that decision. And so I wrote a lot more than I thought I did that first year, despite tech problems. And it was quite delightful.
Wow. That seems like it was very much a nice, smooth path, and then that happened, and then you got back and you did that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
The forums were really supportive too. So it was wonderful to like just talk to a whole bunch of people about like what they were writing and celebrate small milestones like today I wrote 500 words, today I wrote 1,000 words. And some people get all jealous of high word counts and other people are like celebrate all word counts. So the forums are great.
I have not been to the forums. Oh, and we have Chloe's camera back,
We still can't
but
hear you, Chloe. While Chloe is trying to get her audio to work again, it's been a weird on and off thing. Maybe we can get it to work. Um, a couple of people have been sharing out of the chat their experiences too. People have stumbled across it on the internet. Oh, yeah, the new forums are a bit overwhelming. The old forums I liked a lot more. That's life though.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't understand what's going on. Every time I do the test, it works. And then when I pop over here, it doesn't. Hey. And it looks like I have no video again. So I'm going to hop in while I do have talk capabilities. I joined because in 2003, I had just graduated college. If we want to put an age on me that way, I'm 40. I don't play games about that. But one of the people I went to school with got a job. Coffee Quills is in the room. I have a feeling that Coffee Quills knows this story. My friend got a job teaching English in Japan. And she was a bit lonely out there. And so we were kind of pen paling, and she discovered NaNoWriMo and I happened to get her letter. We were sending physical letters to each other, mostly because Japan has great stationery. And she sent me a letter that I got on November 2nd. And so November 2nd, 2003, I started doing NaNoWriMo. My first year, I did not even own a computer. So I hand wrote everything. And then my friends were gracious enough to take turns with me at the end of the month, typing everything out into a computer so I could validate. And my first story was actually a knockoff of like Survivor or one of those reality shows where they were all trapped in a hotel that was going to be demolished if they could not get the key to get out, and they were all given clues, and they had the choice of like killing each other off in order to get each other's clues or working together, but there was a bunch of money involved. So that was my first year as Nano.
Oh, plot of first NaNoWriMo novel. Okay, so my first NaNoWriMo novel, it started off with I just had this character who like I like all I had was the image and the smell of fresh baked bread, and I was like, okay, fresh baked bread smells delicious. Character is going to a village festival where the baker is making delicious bread, and it just kind of like started to roll from there. And then all of a sudden the baker is secretly a hero who retired and was baking, but then villains show up and all the like really stereotypical fantasy stuff. Protagonist gets sucked into being a magical warrior fighting evil.
Wow, that was that, those are some really cool like first novel plot there. The first novel that I did for it, I'm still currently editing at the moment and will be published. So I'm gonna get it all nice and done up. But yeah, no, it's about basically my character. He he's gone through quite a bit. Um, just lost his fiance on their honeymoon, might I add, to demons, and he's been hunted by demons since he was like 7. So armed with nothing but a sword and a newfound gun that he bargained with. Alevandra, trade published, indie, or self? I'm gonna be doing, I believe, self-published for it, and then yeah, kind of work on some of my other projects, like the Camp Nano project I did, Craven's Edge, which I still need to fix and get better with it.
Awesome. Yeah. Um So the next question on our list, keeping our conversation flowing, is what keeps you doing NaNoWriMo?
Do you want to take that, Chloe, or do you want me to?
I'll go ahead and take that. As you know, somebody who's got, I think I'm at 25 under my belt between all of the different things. So for me, I did it for a few years at the beginning, and then I moved, and I didn't really have time to do it. So there were like 2 years that I took off from it, and then I had a roommate pass over of, gosh, I don't remember what year it was now, 2009, I think. And so I just kind of I ended up having to move very far from the city. I live in the Atlanta area, back into the community that way, just because I had to move out of the city, and I needed some excuse to see people because it was too far away. So that pulled me back in, and Atlanta's got a really strong nano community. So I kind of made friends, and it became like a really nice social function for me. I eventually became an ML, and I also like, as I was doing it, I was getting better and better. But now I'm at the point where I think I'm actually doing Nano. Um, Camera has been angry this entire time.
And now your audio is cutting in and out a little bit too.
Oh, this is fun. I like this.
It
Maybe I should
is.
join the panel next year.
um yeah. Okay, so Chloe's glitching out again. So for me, the things that really keep me coming back to NaNoWriMo year by year by year, um, the first big thing is it gives me an excuse to work on projects I might not have worked on anyway. to try something out, try something different, try something new. Every It seems like every single year I try to continue a story that I've already been writing. Those are the years I do worse than the years when I try to do something new and exciting. um, I get more word count out of just trying something different and trying something new. And sometimes what comes out of it is a story that I actually want to come back to and revise. And other times, what comes out of it is experience. And experience is important, and trying new things is great. I'm gonna switch since our panels rotated again. I'm gonna switch our names around in a second. Um, And then the other thing that keeps me coming back is definitely just the community, because before I'd encountered NaNoWriMo, I hadn't really been part of very many writing communities. And the thing that I love about it is that the people in the NaNoWriMo community encourage everybody who just wants to write. Um, you have circles of people who are like really elitist about writing, who are like, why are you writing if you don't intend to get published, and you have to do writing this way, this way, this way. But in NaNoWriMo, it's like, fanfic, go for it. You want to write random stuff that's never going to get published just for funsies? Yeah, writing can be a hobby too. um, and so just that spirit of everyone can write, everyone can enjoy writing, write the way that you love. And you don't have to write to get published, although I do write to get published. So, yeah.
The thing that will probably keep me coming back to Nano year after year is probably my dad's. They're gonna be like, "So you gonna get another novel done?" And probably be like, "Yeah." Nervous, sure. Um, but it the community as well, but more importantly, just feeling like I accomplished something, because that's quite an achievement there. 50,000 words is no joke. And I'm very thankful that I did get it and that people were there to help support. And yeah, it just I feel like that will keep me coming back year after year after year after year until I finally get it to 37. I don't know, random number.
Oh, yeah. And the happy book writer pointed out, just because you did not finish a Nano in the past, remember, not everyone gets it the first time. I did not complete a Nano until my third try. And, like, that's another thing that's just really lovely about it, is that no matter how far you get, there are other people who got that far too. There are people who gave up week one, and you can empathize with them because November was a bad month for them that year. They were worried about finals, or they were trying to plan the family get together for Thanksgiving, or, whatever. And it went total trash on them. And then there are people who, like, I keep on trying every single year, and this is the year I'm going to do it, and you love celebrating when they reach their success.
Yeah, that's just I love seeing that. I love seeing people who were determined to get it done. I like watching the determination of people who, for say, like didn't get it done maybe the first year. Okay, well next year you're gonna get it done. Oh, you didn't get it done next year? Okay, well then the year after that you're definitely gonna get it. And
Mhm.
so it just goes along the terms of like 3 tries you might get it. Four, maybe that's your lucky number. Five,
Mhm.
okay. 10, hey, it's all lovely to have that. So that's a thing.
Mhm. For sure. Chloe, if you're trying to talk, we're still not hearing you. So check your microphone again.
Oh, I wasn't trying to talk because I was,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
wanna, like, have the
Awesome.
sound check. But I know people who have never finished, and I think something to keep in mind, something that I always tell people in my region, is that if you know that you can't hit 50,000, if you have tried this over and over again and you can't hit 50,000, set yourself a reasonable goal, because one of the biggest problems with Nano is the second week slump, where people see that they're not going to hit their goal and they give up because of it. So even during regular Nano, if you can't hit that 50,000, set yourself something more reasonable if that is 30 or 20 or even 10 for you. So you still have that satisfaction when you get to the end and you hit the goal that you set yourself up for, because
Mm-hmm.
the worst thing that you can do is give up. But there are those times when you're never going to hit the finish line, and it can be hard to stay motivated then.
Yeah. Um, Definitely. I never heard anybody in the NaNoWriMo forums call it this, but I feel like NaNoWriMo was one of the first places where I really experienced growth mindset in action. Growth mindset is like, it's where you realize that you are not stuck in a permanent position of being this way. You have the opportunity to grow, you can change, you can try again. It's something that we talk about in education. I'm a teacher. So, like helping children not see, I failed this math test, I am bad at math, but rather to see, I failed this math test, so, but I can learn to do these things. And in NaNoWriMo, that's what we see, is we see that, like, I see that constantly in the community. Okay, this week I failed at my word counts. I can reevaluate what I did. I can look at the progress that I made, and I can set new goals and figure out, am I going to be able to catch up next week because I have less going on in my life? Or is it okay and I need to reassess and set a different goal?
I have no words to that other than these words I'm currently speaking.
Yeah. The next question that we had on our list was, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced while doing NaNoWriMo, and how did you address them?
I think some of the biggest challenges that I faced with NaNoWriMo is being a part of that 2 week slump, seeing that and then going, that I'm not going to be able to do that. And then going to the mindset of giving up. But how I overcome that, and I don't know if this worked for other people, is I just went out to closest friends, not actually going out to closest friends, but just speaking to closest friends, family, having the entire uh, community that we did for the NaNoWriMo events, Game of Tomes, and all that. That was a big thing for me. Having that entire Twitch writers community there saying, it's like, you got this. I believe in you. You can do this. This is not unreasonable. Well, okay, no, never mind. Not unreasonable, but this is not per se the most easiest thing to do, but it's accomplishable and you can do it. So
Hmm.
So for me, I've had I this is funny because it ties into our previous panel that we had earlier. I like, one of my biggest disasters was, there was a year that I decided to plan the story instead of, or plot the story instead of pantsing it like usual. And I got about 3,000 words in and I hated everything and I just gave up entirely. And there was a week that, like, day 3 to day 10, that I was like, this is just isn't going to happen. I'm just not going to do Nano this year. I'm done. But I can't. I'm not a quitter. um, so I literally deleted everything. Don't do that. Never delete everything. I deleted those 3,000 words and I started from scratch. So I actually had like a dip in my meter. And I mean, so at that point, I had 10 days to finish, and I got to probably day 27 and I still had about 15,000 words to do. And I literally, so again, thankfully I'm in Atlanta. So there's always write ins going on. And there was one day that I just bounced from write in to write in to write in. I was in pajamas, I believe. And I just, everywhere I went, that's all I did was write. One of the biggest reasons that I was able to write 10,000 words that day is I wrote the biggest pile of crap imaginable. There were times where it didn't even have anything to do with the story. It was basically just stream of consciousness happening. But I wrote 10,000 words in that day and managed to finish it in time. And I got like one of those, it was like 11:47 at night that I submitted it to Nano for verification, and I completed that dang thing.
Like I said earlier, my first year, my computer died halfway through the month, and I was down a computer for about a week trying to figure out how in the world do I deal with this virus my computer caught. And lost some words on that. So that was a big challenge just because I didn't have a backup computer. It was my first time, so I didn't really have a lot of ways to figure out how to keep writing. Um, but I had Thanksgiving weekend where I didn't have really anything going on, and so once my computer was back up, I was able to use Thanksgiving weekend since I was a kid not planning or cooking or doing anything to just like sit down and hide in a corner with my laptop and make up the words that I had missed while my computer was dead. And but really I think that some of the biggest challenges not tech related have been one year I decided, well, if every word counts, then I don't even have to stick to the same story throughout the month. I can just jump and take whatever comes to my mind and go to it. And that ended up being a bad idea for me. Maybe it works for other people. Do what works for you, right? That's one of the cool things about NaNoWriMo. But for me, what ended up happening was I'd be like, okay, I have 5 possible threads that I could pick up depending on which character I want to focus on today. Which one am I going to pick up? And I spent so much time trying to decide what to write that I didn't get nearly as much writing done. And then I'm going to humble brag. So the other one was a challenge I set up for myself. I was unemployed and I decided I wanted to go for the million. Um, I did not write a million words in a month, but I got to 420,000. Um, And that was a challenge for me because that was the first year that I really started to encounter writing burnout, like figuring out how many words can I actually feasibly write in a day without hitting a wall. And the reason that I never got to the million is because a million in a month makes me hit my like more than 10,000 in a day, more than 5,000 in a day really is about 5,000 is where I start to burn out, and 10,000 is like my candle is dead. No more burning from this candle. So, you know, that was definitely, it was a personal challenge to push myself to see what my limits were. And it was a lot of fun, but it also really helped me to learn like, okay, don't set high word count goals just because you have the time to do it because you're unemployed. Set the goals that make sense and won't burn you out and make you feel like you can't write for another 3 months.
This past year, my goal was 100,000, and I got 101 out of it. I had, I ended up with 2 novels from it, which are both pretty much ready to be published. I'm doing a rapid release, and it's a 6 book series, so it's not ready to be published, but I was able to do 100,000. It ended up being like a total of 115,000. I had to extend out of the month slightly, but I did get 101 during the month. But that for me was probably like the most I'll ever be able to do while still having usable content. That was pretty much my max.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I
Oh, go ahead. You're good.
oh, thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Um, for me, I still haven't hit that yet. But for this first nano, once I did reach the 50,000, I was so proud of myself and everything else. I couldn't write for another 2 days because of that. I was just like, I got this. I don't need to write anymore. I'm good. And I ended up did continuing to write and got up to an added 2,000 on top of that. But as I continue to write each day and practice and build up that wall tolerance, I should say. I'll probably be able to get those goals like 100,000 or maybe even beyond that. It just depends. So, but practice practice makes perfect, as some people say. So,
Awesome. The last structured question that I have is what are some of your favorite NaNoWriMo-isms? Sayings that people say, quotes from pep talks, funny things that happen in the forums, those kinds of things. Just the, favorite things.
For me, it's the traveling shovel of death, but which doesn't have to be a shovel. It's something that's been around. Oh God, for not quite as long as I've been doing this, but definitely from like the early 2000s. And it was, if I remember the backstory of it, it was a writer needed some random thing to kill somebody with, and they used a shovel to kill somebody in a novel with. And they used a shovel, and they were talking to another nano the next day, and the other nano had also just killed somebody in a novel with a shovel. And so there's just this, if you need to kill off a character, here's a shovel. But like sometimes that shovel is another human being or another weapon or whatever. But it's just like one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, the traveling shovel of death was one that I also like was on my mind, and I absolutely love the traveling shovel of death because you just get to see this story, and like in my head I just imagine it as a trans-dimensional shovel that jumps from world to world to world and helps writers accomplish their goals by killing off useless characters or
there you
useful
go.
characters. It could go
That,
either way.
that's your next novel. For me, I don't really have any. I think the only one that I probably do like is the Plancer. I just thought it was funny to say. So, but other than that, I mean, I haven't really looked at the forums lately, so I don't. Yeah. So I don't
Hmm.
have any.
Yeah, the idea of planning versus pantsing, like that was another one of those things where I heard that first in NaNoWriMo. Like, you don't need a plan; you can just pants your way through a story. And it's like, what do you mean pants? And Chloe and I did a panel on plotting and pantsing earlier in WritersConduit, and you can go watch the video on demand of that if you want to. But that's another one that was really, really helped me rather start to think about like, okay, what is my writing style, and am I a planner, am I a pantser, am I a plantser, does it depend on the story, do I come up with a plan, do I just fly by the seat of my pants?
There's also the Plot Bunny Adoption Society, which I am a fan of. A plot bunny is one of those ideas that you get in your head that never goes away. That usually the reason they're notable is because they don't fit in what you're working. So you either like try to jam them in, or now on the Nano forums, there is the Plot Bunny Adoption Society where you can just write a little thing out about it and put it out into the world for if anybody else needs some random bit of plot for their story and it fits in.
Yeah, totally, that's another one that's a lot of fun. And something else that Chris Beatty in his book No Plot, No Problem talks about essentially sending your inner editor on a vacation. The idea that you have an inner editor that kind of, as you're writing, critiques what you are doing. And for NaNoWriMo, your inner editor gets to go on a nice little vacation, send them off to Hawaii or Tahiti or wherever it is that makes sense for you to send your inner editor, that they're going to be perfectly comfortable and not bother you for a month, because your goal isn't to do good writing, it's to get writing done. And so your inner editor can just take a little break.
Yeah, I like the concept of an inner editor. My my family, when we did the homeschool, that was the thing that my siblings did a lot. They would, my dad had them draw their inner editor and then stuff them in a drawer somewhere and just keep them there so that way they could continue doing their writing. That was wow. Words are hard and I don't like sentences apparently. But yeah, it was a fun thing to see. It was cool.
So we do have a question up there. What are y'all's preference on word sprint times?
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Um, for me, I will generally speaking, I like focusing for 20 minutes, taking a 10-minute break. That's often what works best for me is like the 20 minutes is my sweet spot where I can get into the rhythm of the story and get through a solid chunk of a scene. And 20 minutes is about when I'm like going to hit the point where I have to stop and really think about what I'm doing next.
I don't really. I mean, I like seeing the sprint timer there, but me, I don't really use it a lot. I see it there on streams, and even on my stream, I have a sprint timer for people that want to do that. But for me personally, I just when I get into a flow, I get into a flow. When I don't, I don't. It's all yeah. It's just riding that word wave through it.
Hmm.
So my background is in physics, which is necessary here because I've actually done like scientific research and experiments on this. I host write-ins. I've got a writing partner that we host write-ins, and we've done quite a bit on this. We did a series of episodes where we were doing time trials and doing different lengths of time. And we found, and I had like a beautiful spreadsheet and everything to figure out what everybody's words per minute is, words per minute, what everybody's words per minute is, are, doesn't matter. I'm sorry, that was like weird grammar check. But anyways, um, we found that like everybody who participated had a different uh, area that they hit best at. We did find that for most people, though, when we did a variety where we would like start with a 10-minute sprint and then do like a 15 and then a 20 and a 25 and then back to 10, most people did best overall when we did that. But for me, if I am doing the exact same amount, the exact same timer every time, it's about 20 minutes is my sweet spot. And at 30, I um, go down drastically. 20 to 25 works for me.
Hmm. I think that's a really good point about like different lengths of writing sprints and building up, because I noticed that also with my middle school students, if we start off with 5 minutes on task, then take a break, check in as a whole class, and then we go to 10 minutes on task, check in, take a break, and then we do the full release, and the rest of class is yours to get the work done. It helps them really set up for like they're getting a little bit oriented, and then they're getting a little bit more deeper into it, and now yes, I'm ready to go all the way. So that can be really useful too.
Thanks, Chloe. Appreciate that. My nose just had a blowout there for a moment.
All right. And yeah, this is the part of the panel where we're definitely taking audience questions. So throw your questions out. You can just type them in the chat. If you use the channel reward system, the ask a question, which is one channel point, it'll add to the queue and we can make sure that we see it and we answer it.
Islander Caper has a question. What are some tips and tricks you might have for keeping up momentum through the month and avoiding the second week slump and burnout? I usually find I really do well to start off and then go behind and can't get the motivation back.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
So I find that the best thing to do about the second week slump, if you do suffer from the second week slump, is to accept that it's going to happen and accommodate by getting extra counts in the first week, and also being aware that it's going to happen so that when it does happen, you're not so bummed out about it. But if you do like really, really need to keep your pace up during that second week and you're slumping, then the alternative is an app like Write or Die or Written Kitten, or there are several of these where you write or die. How this one works is if you stop writing, if you like zone out for a second and stop writing, the screen will start flashing an angry red at you. It will make terrible sounds. If you have it in kamikaze mode, it will start deleting your words. So it forces you to keep going. Written Kitten is a little bit more gentle, and every time you write 100 words, it gives you a new kitten or sometimes bunny or puppy picture. But like little things like that can help you. And then the other thing is, if you do live in an area where you can be active in your Nano community in person, the in-person write-ins, I mean, I personally host virtual write-ins all year, so I'm not knocking virtual write-ins, but in-person write-ins, I feel like when somebody is actually staring at you, um, helps kick your butt slightly.
Hmm. I put three of those in the chat that I know of. Write or Die is great for Write or Die is great for negative consequences. Written Kitten is great for positive reinforcement. If you like, if you want to feel just like the satisfaction, I've written another 100 words. There's a flash of a picture of a kitten. I know that I have made another 100 words. Now I'm going to keep on going until I get another kitten. I can get 2 or 3 or 4 kittens. I have students who absolutely love Written Kitten. When we were doing essay writing and they had to sit down and write their essays, I was like, here, use Written Kitten. Um, and they like fell in love with being able to see kittens, to be able to really get a measure of their progress bit by bit. And they did it. Written Kitten actually has like a kids version where you can set it so that you get a new kitten every 10 words or every 50 words instead of getting it every like 500 words. So um, that one's nice. And then Fighter's Block sometimes is a little bit glitchy, um, but you do a monster battle by writing words. And if you want to get a subscription at For the Words, I love For the Words because it is like Fighter's Block, but you've got a storyline and quests that you're completing. You're gathering items to help save the Valley of Ogamai from the dust. There was a panel on For the Words. You can go learn more about For the Words. So that I think is really helpful too, just like those little external motivators. But definitely seconding what Chloe said, like your first step in dealing with a slump is accepting that you are in a slump, and it is okay to be in a slump. Slumps are not a permanent position. Slumps happen to every single writer on the planet. Um, Everybody gets a slump, and just because in the forums you're seeing people who are like tearing off into outer space with their word counts, that doesn't mean that you're the only one who's stuck there. Um, so, like, accepting, okay, I am in a slump and I'm not getting as many words out, and that is okay too, is a really good first step because it helps, for me at least, it helps me from being another enemy to myself. If I'm already stressing out because I'm not getting enough words, I don't need to be the one who's telling myself, you're not getting enough words, and stressing myself out more. I need to make myself an ally to myself and support myself and say, hey, let's take a minute, let's step back, let's figure out what's going on here. Yeah, as Happy Book Writer says, Nano is not a race against others, it is a challenge for yourself.
Was actually just about to point that out. For me personally, For the Words was one that I used. That that helped quite a bit. Even though I didn't start using it for Nano, I just started using manuscripts for from World Anvil for that. But I just for me when I did get out of the slump for that, just the support. I like support, and sometimes when I get a lot of support, it's overwhelming. And so then I kind of want to be like, okay, I got to do this now because people are being all helpful and supportive of it. So I want to be able to, it's like a Patreon thing.
Mhm.
You say you're going to get this done, you start giving those out to people. And so it just kind of had that feeling to it. It's like they're saying this, okay, here you guys go. I got more. Here's more. Oh, and then there's more. So that's
Mhm.
just kind of my way that I did it.
Yeah, totally. And another thing that comes to mind for me is to remember your why. Why did you start doing NaNoWriMo? Why were you doing well that first week? Why do you love the story that you are writing? Um, and remembering those whys, reflecting on those whys, and getting yourself back into a more positive mindset about, like, yes, this is an experience that I'm doing, and I can grow with this, can be very helpful. We've got about 10 minutes of reasonable time left for other questions if you've got questions you want to throw into the chat or things you want to share out about your experiences with NaNoWriMo, or if you just want us to like babble about random stuff we've done in NaNoWriMo, we can, do stuff, talk things. Words are hard.
So while we're waiting on another question, I have a question for you two. How has NaNoWriMo changed how you write in general? Has it? Do you go back to your same writing style that you always do outside of November, or has it completely shaped how you write?
One of the biggest changes to my writing style with NaNoWriMo is um, I've mentioned this in another panel too, is my chinchillas. Essentially, with NaNoWriMo, since every word counts, I will write in stream of consciousness when I'm getting lost in a scene. And I think that for first draft drafting, it's something that's helped me to, instead of switching files or going over to a journal or something else, being able to just write in my stream of conscious, take a break from the paragraph that I'm writing and go, okay, this isn't working, and this is why it's not working, and this is what I need to fix. I call them my chinchillas because I type in all caps the word chinchilla, so it's easier for me to find them when I'm revising and taking my horrible, rough draft and trying to polish it up. Um, but that's one of the big things that I picked up from doing NaNoWriMo that stays with me no matter what I'm doing first draft wise, is just like writing in stream of conscious, don't leave the scene. If something's not going right, talk about what's not going right, decide, is this something that I should backtrack or fix? And if it's something I need to backtrack and fix, I'll just kind of like boop, underneath the chinchilla, go blah 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 blah, this is what was going on and now I'm changing the scene. Or if it's something that I don't have a solution for now, but I know where the story is going, I can just write chinchilla. And then they had a conversation about this, but I'm not feeling it right now, so I'm going to write this conversation later, and I'm skipping ahead to the next part.
I don't think Nano has really changed the way how I write because um I continue to did my flow writing, and at first I started with the sprints, but with the writing that I did with that, I wasn't really getting a feel for it, so that's when I switched to flow writing. But then with that entirety of it, my writing has stayed consistent, minus the fact that I'm using less and then they did this. So it's more small things than big writing styles.
So for me, I write a lot faster than I used to. But there came that point, like I absolutely, when I was talking about write or die earlier, I used write or die probably for 5 years. I used write or die for a long time before I no longer needed it because that's just how I eventually wrote. I just got so used to it that I didn't need that motivation anymore. I was able to sustain myself, and my count has gone down some since I don't use it anymore. But I'm really happy at the words per minute that I put out now. So I'm not trying to get the 1K 30 minutes anymore. I'm okay with the like 700 that I get in 30 minutes, but like I used to get 70 in 30 minutes. So there's that. And also, I don't edit as I go anymore. And I actually think that I put out far better product. Obviously, we are all different. So I'm not saying that it is wrong to edit as you go. But for me, I get far better product for just getting it all out there in one and then going back and editing. And so now I'm having an issue because I am writing something for Vella, which is episodic. So it will not be finished before I start publishing it. And so I have to do this editing as I go, and I don't like it, and I'm mad.
Yeah, definitely understand that feeling. Kind of the same for me too. Like, um, there was a phase where I really, really needed Ride or Die to be able to sit down and help me focus. And having it in kamikaze mode and knowing that the second that I stop typing anything is going to make my words start getting deleted from the end backwards, and then I'm going to have to rewrite those words, that was like what I needed. And then, like, when my depression and my anxiety was worse, Ride or Die was just like one more stressful thing that was like, oh no, 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 no. And so Written Kitten was better because I was able to see I'm making progress and I'm getting rewarded for more progress. And then For the Words is like that nice little middle area because there's a whole bunch of different sizes of monsters and they're all really, really cute. And yeah, so different tools for different times is really nice too. Yeah. Um, hmm. How about this? Do you guys have any favorite characters that came out of National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo writing?
Yeah, my favorite character that came out of that, and he's gonna be renamed soon. I don't know when, but soon. Has been Galakron in in the Nephilim's Asylum. That's the novel I worked on. Um, he's kind of this all around character that just came in at like a weird angle of the story. He just came in when the world was just ending and was like, "Oh, so you're the cause of that?" Oh god. And yeah, he's not even a human. He's a dragon. He's just a big dragon that floats around. He just floats around the main characters and all of that and just critiquing things that they say. He's kind of snarky that way. So it's funny. My avatar and icon is art that my uncle did of Galakron, and yeah, and another thing that I like about him is that his symbol for what he is a flower with a skull in the middle of it, and it's a very beautiful flower. It comes in many shapes and forms, and all around it's just pretty dang cool.
I don't know that I have a favorite character, but I do have a favorite scene. It was a fight scene, and I am terrible at writing fight scenes. I went into it not having a clear idea of where I was going with it. It happened to be a shifter romance, and it was two dragons and a bear, except one of the dragons didn't know she was a dragon at the time. She thought she was just a bird. And the way that the character worked was that she was like dual spec'd, basically. Um, so the bear and the dragon are fighting, and she's mad because the bear is her boyfriend. And so she just pops into a dragon out of nowhere. And all of that was pretty well planned. Of course, I knew that she was going to be a dragon and there was going to have to be a big reveal. But then I had absolutely no idea how to fight with two dragons and a bear. And what ended up happening was the bear rode the new dragon, and the new dragon kept throwing the bear at the enemy dragon so that the bear could attack the dragon in mid. It's insane, but like I kept it because it was so ridiculous. And it is a published novel now.
That's
Cannonball.
beautiful.
Fastball special. Yeah, that's what it is. Fastball
A
special.
bear ball?
Love it. I think for me, in terms of like my favorite character and my favorite scene are kind of two different things. My favorite character is she's the protagonist of the not the protagonist but the narrator. Slight difference in stories, you know what I'm talking about, of the series that I worked on the year that I tried to go for the million, and that I'm now starting to turn into a serialized fiction thing that I'm going to put on Patreon. And her name is Carrie, and she is the chosen chronicler of stories about chosen ones in her world, which is a world where there are a whole bunch of prophecies and a whole bunch of chosen ones to fulfill the prophecy. Instead of having one chosen one, it's like, here's a chosen one for defeating this demon, here's a chosen one for operating this restaurant that's delicious, here's a chosen one that's going to do this, that, the other thing. Big things, small things, prophecies for everything. And the character I really resonated with because she's collecting people's stories and I am telling people's stories. And so it was one of those, like, it's a writer. And her full name is actually Caradwin. But yeah, Carrie for short. But also yes, but I didn't even think about that. Now I've seen it and I will not unsee it. Thank you. But then one of my favorite scenes, it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was half asleep and I was just like writing with my eyes closed because I wanted to go to bed, but I also wanted to make my word count go for the goal for the day. And it was this really powerful scene where one of my characters, who's an exorcist who, deals with demon possession, was having a battle with possessing demons inside this vampire possessed by demons. There was a reason, the plot spoilers. But like the way that she fought in that scene was, because it's like a metaphysical mental battle, the descriptions were all stream of conscious because I was half asleep, and I just loved how it flowed. The way that it flowed felt right for the character and right for the moment in a way that I don't know if I would have accomplished.
You're out of time.
Oh, we are. Wow. I babble a lot.
No, you're all good. This was fun. I like this. I'm gonna have to come back next year.
All
Thank you all
right.
for joining. I am popping out because I have another panel to go to.
Yep, and we've got a raid to do. So thank you all for joining us. I'm going to initiate raid protocol. And also, thank you for the bits.
So, what is the next panel that we are going to be raiding into?
We're going into beta readers and critique partners. So let's go continue the conduit.